Thank you so much, Louise. Can you hear me? Yes. Thank you so much, Louise. Thank you, Ada, and thank you to all the organizers of this great event. I'm very honored and pleased to be with you today. So yes, I come from Paris, France, and this is what France looks like since a few months. Can you raise hand if you have heard about this, about the yellow jacket? Yeah, okay. So maybe you know that this movement arrived in October last year, and it started because around 300,000 people have voted on the internet to complain against the rise of the price of fuel. But it's a deeper movement saying that there is a disconnection with the middle class and worker class in France and also in the countryside. And I think it's interesting that this event happens now, but this is not exactly new. We got several problems since years in France, which is notably a massive disconnection, as Chelsea said, between the reality of people and the way government governs. There is also a problem of many public policy are not used by the people that are supposed to. So there are many policies available that people don't even know or don't even use. There is a mistrust in most of the institutions. There is a growing uncertainty and complexity, and I could also add the idea that there is a growing phenomena of innovation washing. Governments saying that they innovate, but actually they don't really do. So we've got this kind of issues in most of the national policies and local policy. And the problem we got is that maybe governments are not ready to deal with that. So the goal of la 27e Région is to try to help government to equip with new practice and a new culture that would make them available to tackle that. I had a great question yesterday, a great conversation with Hélène. I don't know if Hélène is around. She asked, I changed totally my presentation because she asked me so good question that I decided to take those questions. And the first question was, what the hell is la 27e Région? So maybe a short description of what we are very factually. We were born 10 years ago we became a non-profit. We are a small team of 10 people with different backgrounds from political science, management, service design, etc. But we also work very closely with a network of young designers, sociologists, ethnographers, videoists. There are around 130 now, all over France. And this is really the extended network of la 27e Région. We also have corporate members who pay to be part of la 27e Région. There are regional government, there are cities, 12 cities now. There are 7 counties, there are also national ministries and public institutions, and they are in the board of la 27e Région. Our budget is around 1.2 million euros. I don't know how to translate in Hong Kong dollar, but you can maybe do it. Maybe we should multiply by, yeah. We got 3 main activities. One is the most important is action research. The second is content publishing and production, and the third is community management. And we have opened 2 spaces in Paris called Les Halles Civiques. It's a gathering of 25 civic organizations like us. The question 2 was that we hear very often is, how do you start with government? It seems so difficult to work with government that we need to understand how to start working with government. I will say a few words about this project that we have run. It was one of the very first projects we ran 10 years ago. It was a very explorative project about the digital practice of people in Bordeaux. And this project was a failure. So I'll be very honest with you today. This project started like a success. We did very interesting things with people. We build nice scenarios. We embed 30 different non-profit, hundreds of people. But when I came back 4 months later on the ground to meet the people, they tell me, no, nothing has happened. Nothing has been implemented. And this is one of the projects where we realized that there are some prerequisites when you got to work with government. You got to negotiate something to make sure that things will be really transformed, that it's not just fake innovation or fake co-creation. So the kind of key points I could just mention was the necessity to set success criteria. When you start working with the government, you got to negotiate some criteria to be sure that things will be really done. What we do also is organize pre-visits. Before deciding that we will work there with these people, we organize different visits in different places, and we co-decide where we will work exactly. Because sometimes you realize afterwards that people are not happy with what you will do, so this kind of thing must be prepared, and we organize this kind of pre-visit. There is an agreement between us and the government who says our mutual engagement, what we must do, but also what the government must do for the project to be a success. So it's written in a contract. And believe me, governments know what is a contract, so it's really important to do that. And another advice would be to start a bit under the radar. Don't talk to the press first. Try to act a little bit under the radar, because if you're too visible, then you become a political object. It will be difficult to run the project. Another question was, how do you involve civil servants? And I think this is one of the big questions when you want to do social innovation, not for civil servants or for government, but with them. And I would just mention a project that a huge project we run in 8 cities. And I take the example of Mulhouse. Mulhouse is a city in northwestern France. And one of the programs they got, like in many places and all over the world, the fact of throwing butts, cigarette butts, pollute the water, and 200 billion liters of water are polluted each year by just the fact of throwing butts. So this is a huge problem. It costs a lot in terms of management to the city. So the kind of thing we've done, the picture you got here is a group of civil servants we're working with in the city of Mulhouse. And they learn during 18 months with us how to do user research, how to solve this kind of problem. And what you see on the picture is this group of civil servants doing prototypes of new kind of furniture for garbage, for cigarette butts. And they learn how to test this kind of prototype on the ground in real condition. And those has been implemented, and it's a great success. So it's part of a huge program we run in 8 cities now, including Paris, Mulhouse, Strasbourg, Lille, Metz, and so on. And we help this city to create their own innovation labs. But it's the civil servants that learn how to do it. So we coach the civil servants so that they can do it themselves. The key points are the empowerment, the fact of empowering civil servants. It's also the mixity of people. The people you see in this picture have totally different jobs. One is in charge of transportation. Some are top manager, but there are also a guy in charge of security. I mean, the idea is to mix different kind of profile from the government in this process. And another key condition is the time, because when you're a civil servant and you're really doing your job, you don't have much time to take part to such a project. So we have negotiated that each of these civil servants can spend 2 or 3 days per month in this program. So it's an interesting program we run. It's co-founded by the Bloomberg Foundation. Question 4 was how to go deeper in cultural change, because it's nice to design new services, but it can be even interesting to not just to change services, but to change the way government works. So we got a program called Les Éclaireurs. It's a cycle of creative foresight session, where we try to reinvent what we call the rituals of administration. Procurement is a ritual. Urban planning is a ritual. We practice urban planning today like we did it 30 years ago. So what we try to do, and what you see on this picture, is new scenarios that we build with urban planners, with people in charge of procurement, and we try to test new ways to do procurement and this kind of practice. So the key points are redesigning the fabric of policies, not only redesigning services. It's creating new imaginaries for civil servants and politicians. Most of civil servants don't even think that they could do procurement in another way. And it's making perspective more tangible, because what you see in this picture is that we take some of the scenario and we try to transform them into real tests. So it's very tangible, it's very, very concrete. And last one is this question 5, how to prepare young social innovation professionals to work with government. There are many young social innovators that would like to work with government, but this is tough. When you're a student, or when you just out of your school, your design school or your social innovation school, how do you create a bridge to work with government? So we are launching a new program this year or next year. It's we call it Public Hackers Summer Camp. It's a kind of school that we will launch every year with a group of selected 20 or 25 students coming from different backgrounds, architecture, design, political science, and we will gather them during 2 weeks in a beautiful place like this one, which is the Abbey of Cluny in Burgundy. And they will learn the basics about government, because if you don't know how to navigate in government, you cannot change it, so you need to know the basics. They will learn how to create, to have a kind of test bed, to test real practice, but in a training condition. And they will learn also how to work in a cross-disciplinary way, because as we know in social innovation, we need people, we need different disciplines. Like Ada said before, we need different disciplines to work together between people in charge of budgeting, design, social innovation, and so on. So this will be a cross-disciplinary practice. And this is it for the question and some tentative of answers.
Stéphane, thank you so much.